Hello, Gaia. I do hope you are doing great. My name is Ollie. Hit that subscribe button if you love a good Reddit story. All right, let's get into our first story of the day. Our first story of the day comes from BetterAd206 in the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. And it says, Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé I want to say in our wedding? The title gives it away for the most part. I, 27 and female, and my fiancé, 30 and male, are set to be married next year in the spring. And he has been telling me we are going to be doing it his way or the highway. Like, okay? He said that since I was married before, I don't get a say in our wedding because you've already had one. However, he seems to forget that my last marriage was very much physical and mental abusive and caused me a lot of issues that I will not disclose here, but you get the idea. I had divorced my ex-husband due to these issues and met the true love of my life 3 years ago. We got engaged and, yay, we're getting married! But my current fiancé keeps telling me that I already got married, so he is going to have a say in everything. From my dress to the colour of the napkins. While yes, I know this is special for him, and I'm more than willing to let him have most of what he wants, I at least want just a little say in things like the colours and especially my dress. Like yes, I've been married before, and yes, I know he wants this to be his special day as well. But I feel like not having a say in at least my dress will take away from it also being a special day for me. I told him this and said he can have a say over everything if he'd like, as long as I get to pick my own dress since I will be the one wearing it. And if he would let me have some say in some of the small things, I'd appreciate it because it is our day. He told me that since I've already been married, it's my fault because I'm not thinking about him or his ideas. But I do, and I love most of his ideas. I just would like to have one thing to myself, like my dress. He stormed out of the house, telling me if he doesn't get to plan and pick everything, we will not get married. What do I do? How do I go about this in a way that makes us both happy? And am I the a-hole for saying I want a little bit of a say, even if I've been married before him? Edit. I've read a lot of the comments, and I agree with pretty much everyone. I already took my ring off and left it at the apartment we share. I'm going to go to my mother's house and speak with her about my next steps, and I will be talking to him once he's off work. For context, yes, I've been to therapy and am currently still going. Yes, I'm aware I missed huge red flags when I thought he was very sweet and kind. When we first met, he was the complete opposite of what my ex was. No, we don't have any children, but I do have one from my ex. But my ex-fiancé has been kind and loving to my son and has never done anything to hurt him. No, I'm not dumb or stupid. Yes, I'm aware I missed some huge things I should have noticed in the beginning with his off days. I'm aware I should have known from those days that he was acting the same way, just in different ways to my ex. I'm more than aware now. I will talk to him when he's off work, and if I'm able to update, I will. Thank you everyone for the feedback and opening up my eyes a little bit more. Update here. Someone says, you obviously haven't learned a thing from your last marriage. You've immediately jumped into another abusive situation. He sounds like a massive a-hole, and you will be one if you marry him. Typically, I'd suggest therapy, but I can't see how this will help. It's best to get out now. OP responds, I'm starting to see this, and yes, it's been pointed out to me over the last few days, so I'm starting to realize that, unfortunately. Sick Psychotic says, you're not the a-hole, but really think about whether this is how you want to spend your life. My way or the highway will definitely not be limited to just the wedding. Someone says, this guy is not the love of your life. You traded mistreatment for mistreatment. He is using the fact that you were married before against you. This will not be the first time that happens. You are not the a-hole. You need to work on your ability to select partners with your therapist before entering another relationship. I'm sure there were warning signs before this. OP provides more information in the comments by stating, my sister has also told me this and has helped me pick up on a lot of his red flags that I missed. She is the one who said I should post here to maybe get more insight. Only Up Vibes says, did you ever get counseling for the abusive relationship you were in? I doubt it because if you had, you would not be putting up with this nonsense. Do you not see the controlling behavior he is showing you?
When two people are getting married, they should have compromise discussions. Have you talked about money, kids, family holidays, insecurities, and how life will be after kids come on board? Take a few steps back and get a reality check. You're not the asshole.
Opie responds, "Yes, I did, and I met him during my therapy stage. He was a very kind and warm-hearted man when we first met. This was one of the few things that my sister pointed out to me that I didn't see as bad. I was very blind to his small issues, thinking he was just having a bad day, but I'm starting to realize this is just who he is." Just a day later, the OP returns with an update, sharing more about her situation regarding her wedding plans. She says, "The original post is on top. I've had quite a few people ask me for an update, so here it goes, I suppose. I'm a 27-year-old female, and my ex-fiancé, a 30-year-old male, whom we'll call Chris for time-saving purposes. So much has happened in the last few hours, and I'm still trying to process it all. Starting with after I left the apartment. Chris was at work, and I knew he would be off around 3, so I mentally prepared for the fallout. As I just about expected, my phone instantly started blowing up with texts and messages from Chris and his family, asking me why I left the apartment and my ring. I politely told him I would like to talk. However, he would need to meet me at my mother's house so that I can make sure nothing bad happened. After an hour, Chris was at my mum's house, where my mum and dad were standing outside, and my sister came to grab me and let me know he was there. I told him how I felt, and I couldn't continue the relationship, because I've gotten plenty of advice from others that this is not a good relationship to be in, and I will not be in another relationship with myself being miserable. This didn't go over well, and he immediately started yelling and saying a lot of mean things, showing more red flags that I would have missed. Then he got really angry and said, "It's a good thing I have someone else anyway," which made me laugh. Not a sad laugh or a funny one, just an "I knew it" laugh. He then proceeded to try to backtrack and say something about not meaning it. I didn't listen and just crossed my arms telling him to leave. He didn't. He continued to yell, and my dad ended up having to make him leave. As he left, he said a bunch of mean things I don't want to repeat. However, some things that happened after. I got the dreaded "Hey girlie" text message from a close friend of mine, which, yes, we all saw coming, trust me, I know. To make things worse, this friend of mine is a man. Yes, I know a lot of the comments and messages I got made it clear that this man is indeed not straight. I didn't want to believe it, but I sat there and realized a lot of small things, from his speech to how sometimes it felt like he didn't want to be intimate with me. I realized I'm so blind and didn't see all the big flashing signs in my face. I went through our whole relationship, and all of the signs for the red flags and homosexuality were there. I have nothing against gay people at all. I just wish this went a different way. I got a lot of proof, and I wasn't even hurt. I was more relieved, being so honest. I knew I didn't want to message him anymore, but that little part of me needed closure. So I messaged him all the proof and said that I very clearly needed out, and he made that known with his attitude, and now cheating. He then blocked me, which is cool, fine. However, I got a call from his mother asking me to forgive him and that he didn't know what he was doing. So a little context. My family and I aren't rich, but we are well off. His mother proceeded to go on a whole rampage of telling me how he needed this, and I can't do this to her little boy. I messaged the only person I can trust in that family, his brother, a 43-year-old who we'll call Charles. His brother cut off his entire family a while back, and I was told it was because he didn't love them or care for their problems. We talked for about 30 minutes, and he told me everything. Basically, Chris needed a good family to help his family, and he found me for a mutual friend that told him I was well off. I was a meal ticket for him. Again, we aren't rich. And according to Charles, his family had to take out loans to pay for their part in our wedding, but made it seem like they were fine and well off. No, I didn't know any of this. Yes, I'm aware this is wild. Trust me, I'm still processing. His mother proceeded to text me many messages until I blocked her. I then blocked his whole family. I let my mother know what happened and what Charles told me, and she was fuming. She then called Chris's mother and blew up. I didn't know my mother could say such things to another human being. I wish none of this were true, but I'm glad I got the advice I needed. I appreciate all of you for listening to my rant and giving me tips. I will be staying single for a while, and I have already scheduled 3 sessions with my therapist next month. I'm glad I didn't marry this man. Thank you, everyone.
Demian says, "For your own sake,
Start going to therapy once a week for at least a year. Focus on yourself, which works much better if no one else you have to worry about is around. A Reddit user says, "Hun, get to therapy. Glad you found the truth out sooner rather than later. Get to the doctors and get a full sexually transmitted diseases screening." OP provides more information in the comments by stating, "Already looking into my local clinics and planning on getting one done as soon as possible." The next story comes from Her After Hours in the Off My Chest subreddit, and it says, "My husband watched me catch feelings for another man I didn't ever realize I liked. Full disclosure, I never cheated. My husband and I have been married for 3 years, together for 5. I started a job in a male-dominated industry this year as a mature apprentice, working on big machinery using tools. This means working very closely alongside my tradesperson. My husband is a very secure and confident man, so he had no issue with me taking on a career that I really wanted to pursue. I am quite an easy person to get along with, work with, and I love having a laugh. The guys in my crew are very respectful towards me. There was one tradesperson, let's call him Jack, that I worked alongside, with whom I particularly got along with. Initially, it was like we were just really good friends. But as time went on, conversations got deeper, and I started to develop a bit of attraction towards him. He was like a single and younger version of my husband. I was always transparent with my husband about who I worked with, what we would talk about, and my day. But he started to point out more and more that my stories surrounded Jack. I spoke highly of him, and at times, my husband would question why I was talking about him so much. But I genuinely defended that it was only because I worked alongside him on the majority of my jobs. Jack and I continued to get closer at work, laughing and bantering. He would make a point to be close to me during pre-start, playfully tease me in front of everyone, and jokingly compliment me on very random things. Until one day, at a team-building event after a few drinks, one of our other workmates asked me what was going on between me and this guy. That is when I realized. I questioned all my previous actions, conversations, and body language around him. I started reflecting on how he affected my emotions when he wasn't around or had a day off from work, how he would come to mind on the weekends if I came across something he'd like. To realize I was actually falling for him. I went straight home to my husband and told him what my workmates said. He responded, "Well, yeah, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? You like the guy." We have a deep trust, so the question of cheating was never considered. However, my husband said, "I have watched you fall in love with this guy over the past few months. There was nothing I could do except sit back, pray you would stay faithful, and hope you would come back to me." This absolutely tore my heart apart. I hadn't even realized, but he saw it happening. The outcome was that I pulled back from my interactions with this guy at work. This has made it so awkward, but my beautiful husband, I could never do that to him again. I don't know why I'm telling this story, but it made me fall in love with my husband so hard. I don't deserve him, but I am so thankful he is mine. Ranger No 2713 says, "This really comes across as a story about honesty and choosing your marriage. You didn't cheat or hide anything, and the moment you realized what was happening, you set boundaries. Attraction can happen without intent, especially when you work closely with someone. But what matters is how you respond to it. Your husband's trust and awareness are rare, and your actions showed respect for that. I'm so glad that you and your husband are doing well." Someone says, "I'm appalled by the tone of some people on here. However, it speaks to how jaded people are about relationships. It also speaks to a certain level of maturity and, yes, even empathy. Your husband is an insightful and exceptional man. He recognized that if he made this into a confrontation, any person's natural inclination would be to rebel. So, he put his faith in the relationship that you two built together and let it play out. As for you, let me assure you that you are not a bad person. We're all human, and when we work closely with others, we naturally let down our barriers. It's human. What I commend you for is when you were confronted with it, you self-reflected and you were open about it with your husband. None of us are saints. None of us are above temptation. And any person who says they are, well, they're lying. So instead, what we do is either make sure we're never put into such a position, or we are open with our partners about it. You two are amazing, and I'm glad to hear that you are doing well."
This will be our last story, and it comes from Suspicious Bar 7762 in the Off My Chest subreddit. And it says, "My girlfriend told me she doesn't want to hear about my dumb bird anymore. I feel so stupid. I, a 38-year-old male, love birds, specifically parrots, very much. I myself have an African grey parrot named Vivian. She is handicapped because she was severely abused. Her wings were clipped, she was hit, kept in a cage for long periods, and malnourished due to a terrible diet. You could tell, when I first got her at the age of 20, she was so scared and aggressive. But now she's gotten better. She even manages to fly sometimes, talks to me, can name certain objects and tells me, 'I love you.' I love her with my whole heart since she got me through many hard times. A few times I've almost unalived myself, but didn't do it because she was so attached to me and didn't trust anyone else. She is literally what kept me alive through the most terrible years of my life. I have my first girlfriend ever, a 27-year-old female. I had literally never kissed anyone before her, and she's super special to me. She's mostly sweet, but I don't know what happened today. I don't think I talked too much about my bird, and I didn't think it was annoying her so much. But I usually do send her pictures of Vivi during our texts. I just find her cute and want to share it with her. I might rant about birds sometimes and say cool facts about them, especially African greys, but she always acted interested and said my passion was attractive. This time, I sent her a picture of Vivi again, of her sitting on my knee. But this time, she didn't say how cute she was. Instead, I got a response asking why I kept sending this. I don't care. It's just a goddamn bird. Just to clarify, we were not in a fight or anything. It was just a normal evening text, talking about how our days went. Then she started ranting about how it's super weird for a grown man to be this obsessed with a stupid animal, saying it's immature and that animals are worthless because of their subpar intelligence. She said humans are the only worthy companions. I feel so embarrassed. I didn't mean to be obsessive or to annoy her. I just have no clue about relationships. And I'm stupid, I guess.
A Reddit user says, "That's really sad, but also very telling. You've been Viv's whole world for what, 18 years? And birds live a long, long time. Romantic relationships often don't. Your girlfriend seems to lack basic compassion and might be jealous of a bird. It's really scary to think of, but I don't think this kind of person is worthy of dating while you have a whole being with the intelligence of a toddler that you nurse back to life. Please pick Viv. She deserves it way more." Beautiful Hands says, "The way she spoke about something so important and meaningful to you, especially when it's something that literally kept you unalived, shows a lack of empathy and respect that would be hard to come back from. In a relationship, you should be able to share the stuff that makes you happy without feeling stupid for it. What's the point otherwise?"